Thank you. As has been expressed by a number of the new fellows today, I certainly am humbled by my election as a fellow. I'd like to thank a number of the fellows of ATSE and several other industry referees who did generously support my candidature. But in particular, I'd like to thank Dick Kell, who was my primary sponsor and who did put in a lot of effort to supporting that nomination. One thing that does excite me about ATSE is listening to the breadth of experience that is available to fellows of ATSE, even today with the new fellows, but also with existing fellows, and that's very exciting to me. There is clearly a diversity of experience, and it's only through, I think, an exposure to diverse experiences and a diverse range of disciplines that does create opportunities for innovation or innovative thinking. So in relation to my own career, I was quite concerned that perhaps I was going to be the outlier here today in terms of my own career, but then listening to Dr. Karush Kaivani, I was very heartened that there was a fellow practicing engineer being inducted today. Graduate from Melbourne University, Commonwealth Scholar that completed my PhD at the University of Canterbury in Christchurch in New Zealand. Perhaps atypical in that I have worked 33 years for the same organisation. Only one employer in all that time. And I've only ever worked as a consulting civil engineer in the area of water engineering. But in that time, I have had a great interest in publishing and presenting at local, national and international conferences, and to date have presented or authored or co-authored 195 publications, which, listening to some of the other presentations, is perhaps towards the middle of the range that we are hearing about today. Also have been involved to a significant degree in 32 projects that have received peer recognition in the form of 41 industry awards since 1987. In relation to projects, I guess my career started out in Canberra in the ACT in the mid-1980s. And at that time, the practice of integrated stormwater management was a very new practice, and it really did evolve in the ACT through the 80s and into the early 1990s. And it was very exciting to be involved in the evolution of those practices at that time. That thinking evolved over time into what is now called water-sensitive urban design, and even today water-sensitive urban design is evolving into the concept of water-sensitive cities. Interestingly, back in those days we did prepare a riveting video called Urban Stormwater Management, a Quality of Life Issue, and it did receive awards both in 1989 and 1990, so the innovative thinking has been around for some time. Also, in relation to projects, not surprisingly, have worked on many projects over the years. Had an opportunity to work in projects in every state and territory in Australia and overseas from time to time. One of those standout projects is working with the Singapore government and local water specialists to prepare a master plan for what the Singapore government called the Eastern Catchment, which in fact was 237 square kilometres, covering 13 different watersheds. It was a multidisciplinary team of planners, scientists, landscape architects and engineers, and did employ a comprehensive approach and ultimately contributed to significant changes in government policies and environmental practices at that time. Also mentioned there an involvement with water engineering software. One of the interesting features of the company that I have worked with was that we did establish a group called XP Software back in 1987, which evolved into a leading international provider of a suite of water engineering software, which was used widely throughout Australia and across the world. It grew to 13,500 user licences in 38 countries. And it certainly was a long-term commercial and technical success. But nothing ever remains the same forever, so our current board decided that it couldn't resist the temptation, so in 2016 XP Software was sold for $49 million, that's US dollars. But certainly it was one of the interesting features of working with Cardno. In relation to serving the profession, you'll note here from this short list that have been very involved with serving with a number of national committees, both within Australia and also internationally. One of the more interesting roles that I get involved with at present is that I am what is called the Director for Region 10 of the American Society of Civil Engineers, which is an engineering society founded in 1852. It's got 150,000 members across all grades. 25,000 of those members belong to Region 10, Region 10 being all countries in the world except for the USA, Canada and Mexico. So the Board of Governors that I chair is involved in assisting the organisation to deliver services to members that reside in 172 countries. Slight challenge. And we also currently have more than 60 international student chapters, and that number just keeps growing quite rapidly. Okay. So in relation to where to for 2030 and how this all might relate to ATSE activities, took a slightly different approach and actually had a quick look at the strategy plan for 2017 to 20, and there are a number of activities there that did resonate with what I have been doing in recent years. Ensuring industry technology readiness in our field, that's to do with the evolving practices of water-sensitive cities and decentralisation and distributed systems. It's easier to build things, much harder to maintain, and that remains a huge challenge going forward. In relation to STEM, it did strike me that the current ATSE goal perhaps is aiming too high, that perhaps it would be far better to aim earlier in the educational journey and possibly to be targeting final year undergraduates in relation to STEM. My involvement in providing services to members in 172 countries suggests to me that if ATSE is only involved with 28 international sister academies, perhaps there is scope to be involved with other countries as well that don't have academies, and to help to deliver benefits to those countries as well. Some thoughts there with regards to, are there other opportunities to promote STEM beyond the current awards and prizes? And as you may have detected, I'm not averse to serving on committees, having served on committees for almost 30 years. And there are a number of forums and committees within ATSE that are of potential interest and that I think I would be able to contribute to. Having said that, one of the criteria that I would employ in relation to serving on a committee is that it needs a purpose and you need to deliver outcomes. Not so much interested in serving on a committee just for serving on a committee's sake. Thank you very much.